All right, sorry, I was saying it to record and I can't multitask. So welcome back, wrestling officials. I feel like I just saw some of you last night because I did. So welcome back. Good to see everybody, and we appreciate you logging in. So as you know, we are doing a series of meetings that'll be hosted by our regional assigners, and this week we are being kicked off by Rusty Davidson, who is our Central Region assigner, and he'll be doing the presentation tonight. If you have any questions during the course of this, we do have a small enough group that if you feel comfortable unmuting and asking Rusty so that we don't have 50 questions at the end, that would be absolutely fine. Or if you feel more comfortable just putting them in the chat, Nate and I will monitor those and interrupt Rusty at an appropriate time. So Rusty, most of you know him. He has been a staple of high school wrestling here in New Mexico for longer than I can remember, and definitely has helped so much with the training off season for our officials. And so many of you have been joining us since like back in May. So these seem pretty normal because we were doing these each month throughout the shutdown. So it's good to have everybody back in what is a regular season, although there's nothing regular about it. And we're looking forward to Rusty's presentation this evening. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mr. Davidson.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Dana, sometime soon, can you make me the host so that I can share my screen?
I just gave you capability, I think.
Thank you.
Let me know if it doesn't work.
I do know that we have several people that are currently at Albuquerque High with Elaine doing what I think is a very valuable session there. That cut off just a little bit at the top. It talks about positioning and the role of the assistant referee. But as I said, I know we have some folks that are at Albuquerque High with Elaine, and I know that it's their plan to try to join us along the way. We'll try to manage time well. I think that we should try to make my part of this somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes and leave time for questions, answers for our other regional leaders and assigners to make announcements and use the meeting productively for all of us. I am proud to say that I met this morning, 3 out of the 4 of us as regional assigners met with Dana and met with Coach Owen from NMOA. And I hope you guys are sitting down, but common sense won the day. And that's not something that we get to see or say just every day in the high school athletics domain. But it really, I spent all day just kind of basking in this glow that we have. Our leadership is advocating for our athletes and for our programs and for us as moderately paid volunteers, and the system worked, and that's something to champion. Before I go too far, I want to invite, I know that Mondo, you're on. I have not seen Adam or Jason yet, but before we get too far, Mondo, do you have any announcements that need to be made specifically for your group in the southern part of the state at this time?
No, we met last night, pretty much got through most, if not all, that we had to. And I have some due outs for the end of the week that I'm working on already. So we should be good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rusty.
Jason, have you joined us? I know Jet's on. Jet, do you have anything specific for the Northwest that you need to communicate?
Thanks, Rusty. Tonight, we're actually having a meeting this evening to discuss schedules and just kind of brush up on the new rules and things like that. But Jason's got an agenda and has a lot of events from the schools, and we'll go through all that today and kind of figure it out here in about an hour and a half.
I have heard for about a decade now that Jason had an agenda, so I'm happy for you to confirm that. Adam, have you joined us? Okay, I'll make another opportunity. And for the guys and girls in the central region, if we need to again at the end, I'll say something when Elaine's group joins us. But I just minutes ago got a new look at our schedule out, and I'm hoping that maybe we can get together sometime either at the end of this call or sometime quickly after that, so that we can take a look at some of the issues that we've got going on. So I started with a couple of things here that, you know, we all talk in refereeing any sport, but especially in wrestling, we talk about the issues of control. American folk style wrestling is based very much on control. You know, we award control, you know, from a neutral position. We take control when neutral has been achieved again. We assess control constantly when somebody's in the top or the bottom. You know, but I think all of us agree that control is nothing but an illusion. And here's another type of street example in comparing to that original one. I'm getting a message from Elaine here. Let me check real quick. Okay, Elaine's asking me what's the code to the meeting. Dana, do you remember? Thank you, Diego.
It is 537417.
Thank you. Diego Trujillo was quick on the
Man,
finger
He was
and
quick.
responded very quickly. So thank you for that assistance. Part of what we see tonight is we talk about positioning and position related mechanics on the mat. I'm not going to talk about so much about hand mechanics. I believe that's part of Mondo's presentation later in our series. But as far as positioning and foot, hip, and body mechanics, you know, this is something that is very, very topical right now in American folk style wrestling. Some people call it spaghetti wrestling. Some people call it scramble wrestling. You know, but it has become quite the trend, and our assessment of control really revolves around getting that right. This one, I don't know. This one might not be all that hard to call. Do you think? So as we look at positioning, you know, certainly, and I can't tell you for sure that that's potentially dangerous at this point. I can't tell you anything, but I can tell you that I would prefer our referee friend here not be stationary on both knees with both hands on the mat, because out of all the things that could happen here, all but one of them are bad. We see several situations on getting in on singles now, and before we get to that scramble situation, I'm not looking at the hand on the face there. That's not a problem, but knowing where that knee can go if a hip contacts the shoe, or where that knee might go instead if the backhand captures the back ankle. You know, our motion on these situations is vital. You know, I think this is a great signal. There's nothing, no problem with this. I can't brag about the guy's position. I'm not sure if these athletes just turned away from him or how long he's been there, you know, but looking at this, his signal is quite accurate as far as why that left foot of the wrestler whose face is underneath is where it is. You know, but I'd like to see this guy adjust position. You know, if I'm the referee that's looking right at this, I'm in pretty good position. If I'm behind it, I'm not. So we know from whatever experience we had on the mat as kids or coming up through the ranks or in our coaching and refereeing lives, we know that wrestlers compete in a circle because wrestling is a circular type of event. Starting off in a down position here, and looking at our options as we get this started, we know that we have motion as referees, both forward and backward. If I'm starting athletes in this position, I put myself in a off a corner where I can see belly hand, I can see elbow hand, I can see midline of the back, I can see at least back foot, if not front knee. But my motion as soon as the whistle is blown is probably back through, what international people would call the zone, towards the edge. And as wrestling begins, I'm probably going to begin to angle myself off to the side and triangulate between the scorer's table, my assistant referee, if I have one, and we're going to talk about that in a little while, and where the not where the action is as much as where the action's about to be. I'm a big fan of this Star of David approach, and this was something that one of my teachers gave to me. Ironically, it was a teacher who happened to be Jewish, so he was big on pumping himself up about the Star of David. If wrestling moves in circles and it's our goal to be in position and be in position before the action arrives and be in position with seemingly very little effort, then we need to disobey the circular rule of wrestling and cut ourselves across so that the action is always coming to us. And I know Jet, you're one, and I know several of the other guys in here that I've mentioned to somewhere along our way. I like to feel like I'm pulling athletes to me most of the time. If I feel like I'm pushing athletes away from me, then I'm actually chasing the action, and nothing good's going to come from that. I am a huge fan of cutting that angle so that I will be in position when the action gets where it's going to occur. You can barely see the left elbow of this referee that's still wearing black and white stripes, which dates the picture. But if I go back a couple of slides to that in and out motion, for me, this referee is way too close to that cradle to be able to see anything accurately. He can see the cradle applier's hands. He can see the defensive person's hands if they're attacking fingers, poking eyes. There's a lot of things you can see there, but the fall is not one of them. I in several cradle situations like this, I would go back to that circular motion. In lots of cradle situations, not to sound, totally rude because I know it's recorded, but the up the butt view on this is much better than the down the throat view. So I do want to see from this particular referee motion and for sure distance. We have developing referees that cringe when we say that often in fall situations, we get a much better view from far than we can from near. This is one of those situations. So my cute little arrow on this diagram is simply about that. I am one, and everybody's got their own hip and foot and shoulder mechanics. I make so much bank out of reversing my motion and stepping backward. Not everybody does. Not everybody likes it. Not everybody agrees with it. I think what I would say to the variety in the group tonight with so much experience and so much development going on is to try new things, especially early in this developmental season. There are steps that we can take that feel like an old karaoke drill, where we step back and we step across and we step back and we step across. There are lots of times when we can simply follow the arrows on that Star of David and back a straight line while we never give up eye contact with the athletes. There are lots of situations where we can circle short and circle against the flow of the athlete's motion so that they indeed are coming to us instead of away from us. So here's a sample. pretty much everybody looking at this knows what's about to happen. Somebody say the word. Jet, you should know this. It's a junk move. Rotman, you probably invented it.
If he steps
Spladle.
over that foot, he'll get him with a spladle.
There you go. Thank you, Mika. This is about to turn into at least an attempted spladle. Looking at where the victim's head is tucked into the belly button of the kid with the orange headgear on, the most realistic anticipation here is at least the attempt of a spladle. With that in mind, yes, I'm protecting the victim's head here, but I'm also watching that underneath foot of the shoe that's got red on it. And I will be circling, if you're looking at this picture, I will be circling left away from offense's feet towards butt of defense and head of offense. My anticipation is that the bottom surface, the lower portions of the scapula are what will potentially come in contact here for a fall. So again, circle and distance drives it all. Looking at just simple
Hey,
stand
Rusty, I
up.
have a quick question for you. As far as movement and moving around the mat, do you have like a specific time in your head where you're maybe saying like, hey, every 3 seconds I got to get going, not staying in one place at the same for a long period of time?
No. And Jed, I can't argue with that baseline philosophy. It's not going to surprise anybody if I use the word Zen, Z-E-N, to describe my own philosophy of movement. If I'm working 106-pound state final, or if I'm working the first round of the heavyweights, I've got two different chemistries going there. My goal is to be where I need to be when I need to be there. And other than that, to try to be invisible. And so I do really use that philosophy of Zen and try to be a part of what's happening in each individual match. Did I answer your question?
Yep, I appreciate it.
We're looking at this situation here. We have a pretty good idea where this is going to go. It could go one side or the other, but looking at the placement of the hips and looking at the offensive wrestler's head, he's going to turn his head to the right. Okay, so this is going to come back down on both of the athlete's right shoulders and our left as we look at it. So we are backing away from this action and circling left. So in terms of some little things here, what we just saw, I want to step against the flow here and try to be where the action is going to end. Here's a better look at a stand-up. Looking at the offensive wrestler's head, this is coming down to the side we're looking at it from, and our dear friend is posted on 1.5 knees and cannot get into position. I do like that he's outside the wrestlers, but his motion needs to be coming back toward me as this action ensues. So we want to step against circular motion. We want to step to potential danger. Okay, if you're looking at the stripes on the bottom of that shoe, that belongs to the Michigan athlete. Okay, in college wrestling, this is not much of a big deal. In high school wrestling, this could turn into a big deal pretty quickly. This would go PD pretty fast in high school. Okay, so looking at this particular situation, I'm straight lining this with my in and out motion, and I'm stepping in pretty much right at the M on the back of that Michigan singlet. Okay, I'm a little curious here about how that arm is encircled on the inside where the offensive wrestler has it encircled. So I am going to rotate to Red's feet so that I can see exactly how that's circled. And then I'm going to back away. I'm going to circle back and kind of keep an eye on the potential of a choke here, but I'm going to back away from this after I know that it's not illegal. I'm going to back away from it and give it about 93% of my attention to the fall and 7% to the potential of being choked. I'm open to discussion on that. Part of our mechanics are things that we say to athletes, and everybody's got their own vocabulary. I believe in keeping it short. What I'm looking at on this situation is the hammerlock or the arm bar that's sitting on the wrestler with yellow stripes' back. Okay, the top wrestler with the fluffy hair here does have an arm sitting up on that back. Okay, I may say free that. I may say leave it on the back, don't lift it. But with the placement of that knee, with the posting of the head, there's an awful lot that can go wrong with this very quickly. I don't know that I would PD it immediately, and I don't know how quickly I would go free that. I would definitely ask the wrestler, do not lift that, leave it on the back. I know a lot of my colleagues use the term, keep it legal, keep that legal, keep it legal, keep it legal, and I like that idea. Okay, this is not spladle, this is traditional banana split. We don't see this a lot anymore, and we'll talk about cycles in wrestling in just a few. But on this one, as this begins to rock, my statement to that wrestler is going to be, take that to the head, do not split him, do not split him, do not split him. So in a way of preventative officiating, I don't believe we're coaching a kid to say, take it to the head, do not split him. I believe we are protecting a situation and preventing what could be a serious injury. There's a look at splits that are finishing. Okay, and it's not the hands on the leg that will split a kid. It's the leg on the other leg. Where the boots are in, that's where if they take that knee laterally to the mat, it'll split the kid. If they take the offensive knee towards the shoulder and head of defense, it does not split him. Take that to the head, do not split him. Do not lift him. You're wondering what the picture is here. Do not lift him. We see situations with a deep half and a kid will rock up to an absolutely perfect bridge, but all the way to their forehead. If the offensive wrestler here lifts that head off the mat, the potential of something bad happening is pretty great. And I know in this particular situation, it might be hard to lift. In a half or a reverse half situation, we're teed out pretty well, and offense is able to actually lift that wrestler's head and shoulders off the mat. If they do, we've got the potential of a really, really bad situation. We either stop the match and take a kid off his back and it wasn't warranted, or we don't stop the match and somebody's jacked.
Rusty, I've been in that exact situation recently, and unfortunately the kid did get hurt and couldn't finish the match, but you're right, that can get pretty dangerous right there.
Thank you. I'm sorry that happened to you, but I feel lucky that there are real examples out there. My command here, and I will use my motion here, my command is do not lift him. My motion is going left, away from the offensive athlete. I'm going to the shoe that we can see with the gold, black, and 3 stripes. I'm going to that shoe, and if this athlete gets lifted, I'm going to use my right hand to punch the back of that kid's head out into a non-dangerous situation. You know, and I'll answer for that any day, all day long. And I don't mean punch with a full fist, but I mean with an open hand. If I'm cornered off by that shoe that we can see, I can get to that kid's head and keep him from taking a straight shot on the neck. Technique, wrestling technique lives in cycles. Right now, everything is tilts. Yes, everything is tilts. I was not successful in finding a lot of tilt video for us to look at, but tilts certainly command our positioning. There was a time when all we saw was arm bars, and this is a double chicken wing or a double arm bar with the guy sitting up. Okay, when this is popular in wrestling, it dictates our mechanics and our position. When and not what, a decade, 15 years ago, when at least in the central part of the state, everybody had both boots in and a power half and never came off the hips. And it dictated our philosophy in terms of what was stalling and what wasn't. It dictated our position. It dictated our thoughts and our mechanics about what was happening. Okay, here's yet another situation of sitting out with double bars. You know, this referee's on his way to the right position, both in terms of seeing the fall and in terms of protecting the athlete. And really, there's not a whole lot of protection that's warranted here, although kid in blue and white doesn't look particularly happy, but he's okay. Okay, as we approach our transition here, I'm feeling like we're doing okay on time, but this is one of those catchphrases. What do we say? In the pre-COVID era, we told each other that we're all just here for the kids, and that sounded so nice. But not everybody that was there for the kids was really there for the kids. Now that we're into the coronavirus era, we tell each other every day that our top priority remains the safety of our athletes and spectators. And that sounds nice, but it's not necessarily true. We as coaches tell our officiating colleagues all the time, I just want you to be consistent. I just want you guys to be consistent. I just want you to be consistent. We as referees tell each other, hey, we need to be consistent. I can tell you that 100% of the time, this is not a takedown for me yet. 100% of the time, this is not a takedown for me yet. Okay, I cannot tell you that this is not a takedown for Jet Gomez or for Mika Trujillo at this point. But I can tell you that both of them will answer the questions you ask them about why they called it a takedown or why they didn't. And I think this is a vital part. And Dana, Nate, you guys can adapt or adopt this, you know, for all the other sports involved, whether it's golf, whether it's tennis, whether it's soccer, whether it's basketball. You know, consistency is really within the eye of the beholder. You know, and I just offer that up as a point of philosophy. If you understand what you think about wrestling, you're going to be okay. And the consistency will take care of itself. You guys already know the answer to this, especially if you're from the central group. Two best, two safest calls in wrestling. What do you think? Stalemate and potential danger. Neither call costs anybody anything. Okay, Nate, I'm not sure how you want me to do this. Do you want to show my video or do you want me to?
Can you show it? I'm not prepared to.
Okay, then you guys know that this might be a little bit blurry. And if you've been with me before, you know that this is my favorite of all clips ever in talking about the position, the role, the mechanics, the duties of the assistant referee. What we do as an assistant referee has evolved significantly in the last generation. And I'm telling you straight up, and you do with this what you see fit, but I'm telling you straight up, the assistant referee is important and you should act like it. If you're on the whistle, the assistant referee is important and you should act like it. If you're the assistant referee is important and you should act like it. Those of you that are old enough to know what I'm envisioning is back 10, 20 years ago, me standing over there on the side with my hands in my pockets, chewing gum and not wanting to get in the way, because by God, when I'm out there, you better not interrupt. This referee does a magnificent job. If it'll play. I don't know how blurry it is on your end. Bo Nickel's in blue and on your left. Miles Martin is in Ohio State gray and on your right.
It's not blurry, Rusty. It's just a little bit slow.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Watch the assistant on your left. Thank you. So in college wrestling, if anything is still in or above the cylinder, they're still in. This was a very dramatic moment in the match. It changed the outcome in the second period. And it was the national championship. The guy did not get himself all caught up in, oh my goodness, he's on his back. He didn't get himself all caught up in, oh my goodness, that was Nickel's move and Martin stole it. The guy focused on what his specific role was, and that was to see what the whistle is not seeing. And that means potential choke on top. That means eye gouges. That means, ripping at the lips. That means pulling at the headgear. That means peeling at one finger. In this case, that meant assessing when they were inbounds and when they left the mat. Jed, I'll put a plug in for you here. If you have not seen the match between Bo Nickel and Zahid Valencia last week in Fort Worth, you need to get on YouTube and go to U.S. Olympic Team Trials Nickel Valencia. It was the best match of the tournament by far. Okay, so we're talking about the assistant referee and what their job is, and I thundered at you enough. Here's just a clip of two current great athletes. I think Nick Lee might be my next superhero. What a magnificent human he's turning out to be. And Jaden Ironman, I pulled this because Ironman is so funky, so funky. Again, this may be just a little bit slow or blurry for you. This was in the finals this year. I want to watch the two referees work together, especially on out-of-bounds situations. And Ironman is really hard to work because you can't predict him much. Right now, Ironman's taking a whooping. If you're interested, last Saturday morning, Nick Lee, who's a college junior, beat Yanni Diahakamales and Zane Rutherford within an hour of each other. Again, college rules on out of bounds a little bit different. Look at the positioning of the referees. The triangulation there is perfect. I'm hoping that I'm changing slides here. That's takes me 2 tries on some of these. Okay, here's another classic from the recent NCAAs. Different kind of fun to watch. You know, Fix is a great calculator, and DeSantos just wants to beat you up. So when you're working this mechanically, both as an assistant and as the lead or the whistle, it creates a different dynamic, and that goes back to that Zen approach to being in the moment. DeSantos coming at you all the time, and he's going to bang with you. Fix has to take advantage of DeSantos' mistakes here. These guys, you can see the shoes of the assistant referee. These guys do a wonderful job. The edge is contained. The center belongs to the athletes. Both guys can see everything they need to see. You're seeing the shoes slide across to the left there. It's okay to step off the mat. You need to keep a clear view. That referee is stepping in and letting him know a little bit about time, which is okay. I don't like to make a lot of noise as an assistant, but it's okay. Magnificent job. Really well done. Let's see what I get here. One more. Okay. We are approaching the end of my time. I'll do some summarization and some invitation for others here in just a few minutes. But there's a new sheriff in town, and his name's Gable Stevenson. I have not been a Stevenson fan, but oh my goodness, this kid is a monster. And you know what? He could win it. He could win it. Just enjoy this. Just enjoy this. This is 300 pounds of human. Again.
Yeah, that kid's athletic as all get out.
So then when he beat Gwizdowski last weekend in Fort Worth to make the Olympic team, the crowd went nuts, and they started chanting at him, backflip, backflip, backflip. So here you go. Round 2. He got more air on that one than he did at the NCAAs.
And he beat Gwiz bad.
He did. And everybody knew he would. He doesn't get out of position. He doesn't make mistakes. Gwizdowski's little to get into Gable Stevenson, excuse me. He moves so well, especially to the right. When you watch him chuck and spin to the right, you're never going to stop him. He can't go to the left very well, but he does go to the right extremely well. And he's got the entire package. I mean, this guy, he could win it all. Okay. So I'll answer questions here in just a second. Looking at what's on our plate. Dana, who's presenting on the 14th?
That will be Adam Martinez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I believe that Jason is on the 21st
That's
and
correct.
Cameron on the 28th.
I'm
And then
still trying to figure out how a 300-pound man did a backflip. My mind's a little blown right now. I don't know what to do.
It's really not that
You know,
difficult. You gotta jump. You just jump, tuck, and then land. That's all you gotta do.
Oh, okay. Are you good? I mean, is anybody going to demonstrate of any weight? I think it would be impressive. I know I can't do a backflip. So
I think Carlos, for just running his mouth, should do
Right?
it right now.
that was my thought,
Okay.
Mika.
Sure, I'll go outside and we'll do it
there you
virtually.
go, Carlos.
Do it,
That one's for you. That one's for Carlos.
I can do a back row. Can't flip, but I can row.
That's something, Patrick.
Dana, it makes me happy that made you happy.
That was the highlight of my day. I'm not gonna lie, really was.
The sad part is it doesn't take much.
I was gonna say the sad part is that was the highlight of my day. I feel sad now.
I still have to communicate with Ed tonight, so I'll help you the best I can.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Rusty.
I do have to say, Rusty, out of the whole entire NCAA tournament, that was probably the coolest highlight of the whole thing. Watching that man do that full back tuck.
It was pretty good Saturday night too, although there was some good stuff. The Olympic trials was, and I'm telling you that Valencia and Nickel match was that was the deal. Oh my goodness! You watch Nickel chin whip him and dump him right at the end. Jet, was that cool or not?
Oh, that was awesome. And then the antics at the end were pretty funny.
Yeah. Although little Nickel's still saying yes sir to David Taylor. So if anybody's got something that you feel like I ignored or left out, now's the time. Chuck Almeida was one of my teachers back in the late 70s, early 80s, and he just continually would grind on us about being in position. So I chose to highlight him tonight. His deal was that you need to be in position all the time, but nobody needs to know how you got there.
Hey, Rusty.
Hey.
Do we use two-man, two official in wrestling for everything, an assistant in the main, or are we mainly one man?
We are primarily one-man mechanics.
Okay.
Up until semis and finals of tournaments,
Right.
which really are non-existent this year, and then in our state semis and championships. Now, I will say this, Shane, and this Mondo, Jet, you guys take this as you will. One of the questions that I have for our group in the Central region is whether or not we want to try to use assistants more frequently, simply to create opportunities for mentorship. You know, and that's got some financial considerations to it. You know, we have a few situations where we have just one dual meet going on tonight, and it's on one mat. I can send one person to do the JV and varsity, and it would be one of our top guns, and they get a decent paycheck. Or I can send two people and they don't get the same paycheck, but I'm actually going to ask my varsity or my experienced people to get there early and assist with the JV match. And then I'm going to ask my developing referee to stay there late and assist with the varsity match, simply so we can use it as a teaching tool. That's my plan. And how it is received, you know, I'll tell you in another week, but that's the plan. Thanks for the question. Dana, I am done. Nate, I am done.
Well, Rusty, thank you. That was a good job and entertaining too. So I appreciated that. Does anybody have any questions for Rusty before we let you go about your evening? Or any questions for Nate or myself while we're on? You will be seeing, as Rusty was alluding to, we had a conversation this morning that was about, I don't know, 45 minutes long with the regional assigners and with Scott. And what we were talking about is the whole mask issue. So you're going to see some stuff coming out of our office about that probably in the next couple of days. And the regional assigners were wonderfully helpful in figuring out what to do. And as Rusty said, we're being very common sense about it. And I agree, in a time where common sense seems to be at a premium, it was a good thing. So you'll see that coming out. It's nothing, I don't think it's anything that's earth shattering or life changing or anything, but it's just something to consider during this weird year. So be on the lookout for that. And certainly if you've got questions about it, feel free to reach out to Scott or myself or any of the assigners, and they'll be glad to help you with that. I won't talk too much about it until you receive it. And then once you get it, if you've got questions, you can ask at that time. So thanks again to the assigners for your help with that. I thought it was it was good conversation, and we were able to get accomplished what we needed to get accomplished. So again, next week will be the Northeast region with Adam presenting, and we'll send out that invitation initially on Friday and then again Wednesday morning. So we hope to see you there, and this will be, this is being recorded, and we'll post the recording and send that out to everybody should you want to review something at a later date.
Nate, anything from you? Okay, we went through earlier. Adam, Jason, did you guys have anything briefly that you need to get to your group?
No, I don't. I'm good.
I'm good on our side. We're gonna meet here at 6:40 with our team, so we'll go through it there.
You have an agenda?
Yes.
Shame on you, Dana.
Sorry, I tried to stifle the laughter, but you started grinning, and then I couldn't help myself. So I just, again, I want to say thank you to everybody in the wrestling officiating community. You're a great group, and your numbers may be small, but you're a mighty, mighty group of officials. We appreciate everything that you do. Patrick, what are you holding up? You're
I'm
muted.
just holding up one of my magnets I picked up over the weekend. I'm
It
out
looked
of town, that's why.
Oh, it looked like a scratcher. I was like, did you win? Did you win millions? But I couldn't tell what it
Oh,
was.
shit, I wish. We're here in Philadelphia. We went to Atlantic City, New Jersey. We went to New York, and then I just got home from the Phillies ball game. So I was
Nice.
listening in while I was driving back. So
Awesome. We'll enjoy. But again, thank
oh
you
yeah, we're
that,
go ahead,
for
sorry.
everything. I'm sorry. Thank you for everything that y'all do, and certainly reach out if you run into any issues or problems or questions, and we will support as best as we can. So we've got great leadership and a lot of really outstanding human beings in this wrestling officiating community, and I just appreciate the heck out of all you. So enjoy getting on the mat finally. It's what we've been waiting for. I know it's not in ideal circumstances, but we're excited to get you out there and supporting those kids who wrestle. So thank you for everything you do.
Love you guys. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Rusty.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rusty.
you.
Night, everybody.
Good night. Enjoy the rest of your trip, Patrick.
Oh, we're coming back tomorrow. We're just packing up and getting ready. We catch a plane at 7 in the morning. So
Oh, goodness. Well, get some rest and have safe travels
I
back.
will.
Take
All
care.
right. See you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mika. Thanks for the education on the spladle, because now I know.
Yeah, pretty painful.
Yeah, it was
Pretty painful.
horrible. So thank you, though, because I was like, I have never heard that word in my life. So I appreciate you educating me.
Yeah, definitely. No problem.
Thank you.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.